First of all, Bella, we don't feel happy calling Mr. Akufo-Addo the clearing agent. I personally don't feel happy. And if you ask me, I wouldn't feel happy naming at least somebody's father or my grandfather
or our president.
Or our president, the clearing agent. We don't feel happy. But if your actions seek to suggest that you are indeed a clearing agent, you will be called a clearing agent. When the EC was speaking, he said a lot of the corruption allegations were mere perception. Fantastic. PDS, your own minister, before truncating the contract, when it was exposed by the minority in parliament, said the documents that were presented, the insurance guarantee, was fraudulent. And that was how come PDS was truncated. The FTI consulting report pointed to Bawumia to being the person who chaired the meeting that first changed the condition precedent to condition subsequent and changed the bank guarantee to an insurance guarantee. And together on the table, they presented a fraudulent Carl Bank insurance guarantee. He should tell me which agency investigated the vice president after, because he was indicted in this. Ameri Innovation scandal. The president himself told us he was misled. Misled by who? And he was misled into signing and appending his signature. And in fact, it wasn't the president's signature that was appended on the Ameri scandal. It was Bawumia. Because at that time, President Akufo-Addo was out of the country. So the documents were taken to Bawumia, and he appended and granted executive approval. But the two only communicated information to us, as though President Akufo-Addo had granted. But they said they were misled. Who misled them? Tell me which investigation had commenced in the Ameri Innovation scandal that sought to dupe the state, ballooning a contract from 510 million to over 1 billion. That was how they attempted stealing from us. He should tell me. COVID-19, the health minister went to parliament and virtually begged. And when he was asked why he bought drugs that were sold at $10 for $19, he said he wasn't thinking right. And the tension and pressure on him even made him not to bring the documents to parliament for parliamentary approval before he went to buy the drugs. What did Mr. Akufo-Addo do? He went to his hometown and said, Health Minister Abre, we are worrying him. A man who had caused huge financial loss to the state. For however reason they duped this country, Mr. Akufo-Addo had the effrontery to stand before his chief and said, Health Minister Abre, Galamsey appearance fee. Charles Dubois, a minister who had said, Bawumia, before you go and do Galamsey, you need to give Bawumia $250,000 before you even appear to talk to vice president. A man who knows nothing about Galamsey. Suddenly, Bawumia is now a kingpin. When the matter was referred to the special prosecutor, what came out of it? And the special prosecutor in his findings said, Bawumia's corruption is so big that we need to pass the Corrupt Practices Act. In his report, who should institute that? The executive, to parliament. Has Mr. Akufo-Addo bothered himself executing that? No. Nyantechi number 12. They said Mr. Akufo-Addo was in his pocket. And that before you get contracts, you need to give Akufo-Addo $3 million. And for Bawumia, when you give him $2 million, he will shake the head and they will give you the contract. Bella, Nyantechi number 12, tell me how it ended. You and I were in this country.
He attempted to run for office.
Austria scandal.
Australian visa scandal.
They carried fake journalists. So they took a girl and said, this is Bella Mundi. Took her there. When they got there, they asked people where their recorders were. Some were removing precursor. They deported all those people back into this country. And Ghana was written in the international communities for being a fake country, for attempting to take fraudulent journalists to Austria. You know how it affected us? The next 2 years, the Commonwealth Games, they denied you journalists from going to report. That scandal, they said, was investigated. And Pius, my good friend, was involved in that. He was the one. They took the people there. Till date, the CID report hasn't been made public for you and I to know. Many scandals in this country. Why? National Cathedral. A pastor who says today he's called Kobna Edu Jemfi. Tomorrow he's called Victor Kusi Boafo. They paid over 58 million to him. All in the name of constructing a national cathedral. They abandoned the whole. When Okujato Ablakwa expose the matter. Have you heard Mr. Akufo-Addo taking an interest or even instituting any anti-corruption agency to investigate that matter? But you see, for me, that National Cathedral will not only retrieve the funds, but will give all the corrupt people shovels to fetch sand and cover the hole they have dug there before we use it for whatever purpose we want to do with it.
That's a jest, right?
Yeah, no,
I'm actually serious that
I am swearing God to this, that we will not only retrieve the funds from the corrupt people involved in that hole.
You give them a shovel.
We will give them shovels to fetch sand and refill the hole they have dug there.
You're being serious about this.
I swear everything by my life. I'm saying this on record. COVID-19 funds.
We'll bring you back to this.
COVID-19
if you should.
They investigated that your government, were doling out monies and paying fake caterers. They went and built a house at Adakulu for over 14 million, abandoned it, wasted over 11 million, shared the monies to parliamentary candidates. Felicia Tete, Sanarugu parliamentary candidate, said she received the money, her chairman received the bounty, and they chopped funds that were meant to cure COVID in this country. Tell me if Mr. Akufo-Addo had instituted a report. Why? Is it not Mr. Akufo-Addo's own special prosecutor who said Mr. Akufo-Addo is the mother serpent of all corruption? You know what that means? A snake that now gives birth to corrupt snakes. And they steal and dupe this country. And that was what Mr. Akufo-Addo was. Did you hear anybody instituting an investigation in any of those?
But the president will say that
gold mafia,
in the fight for corruption, that's why they set up this, the office of the special prosecutor.
And the man he put in charge to fight corruption said the biggest corrupt entity, the corrupt snake of all corrupt snakes in this country was Mr. Akufo-Addo. He was the mother serpent of corruption in this country. That was what he told us. Why? Gold mafia, Alistair Matthias. Mr. Akufo-Addo wrote to your media house, and they wrote to Al Jazeera to retract a gold kingpin who said Mr. Akufo-Addo was his loving friend, and how they duped the state and transported gold and what have you. He boldly said and indicted our president. When they wrote to Al Jazeera to retract or else they will sue Al Jazeera, did you see any retraction? Have you seen any suit to that effect? Till date, nobody has sued them in that particular matter. We can go on and on. SkyTrain, they paid $2 million to a fake contractor. The Auditor General said even the contractor didn't have license to undertake a contract in that affair. Yet $2 million was paid to them. Have you seen any investigation in that particular matter? No. Balogun multipurpose dam. I was there myself. I wept when I looked at young children who are going to suffer in June, July, August, September as a result of the spillage of the Bagre Dam. And some of them may even lose their lives because on yearly basis, people lose their lives. Yet your government chopped over $12 million in that particular contract. Tell me a single investigation that was undertaken in that.
Malik, so when you come into power, or if you come into power, are you going to look at every single one of these scandals and prosecute?
President Mahama says, just as the development of this country is of high interest to him, so is the arrest, prosecution, and jailing of corrupt officials under this government. It's important to him too. And you see, Bella, in all these scandals I am naming, I am putting them directly at the doorsteps of Mr. Akufo-Addo and Alhaji Bawumia. Not just appointees, not Cecilia Dapa. Have you seen me mention Cecilia Dapa? Because you have done that. And even though we know how they have siphoned funds and hidden dollars under their beds, I'm not mentioning them. I am mentioning Akufo-Addo and I am mentioning Bawumia because all these scandals circulate around them. Why? All Kisi Ejapon, Ejaben, the current special prosecutor, he held a press conference and said as a result of corruption stinking in this government, his soul has left him. And he's now Dankwa or the crown. I said, you are the account people. His soul has left him because corruption is choking and stinking under Mr. Akufo-Addo and Bawumia. Yet, Mr. Akufo-Addo has the effrontery to mount a podium and say President Mahama is alleging. All these things I have listed. Have you seen me allege on any of them?
They said you haven't brought evidence. There's no evidence. The president says he's forwarded it to the independent institutions. There's no evidence because if there is, then of course these people would have been found guilty. Which
evidence is bigger than the minister himself saying PBS documents were fraudulent? Which evidence is bigger than that? Tell me. Which evidence is bigger than Mr. Akufo-Addo himself lying to us that he was misled and Bawumia signed a fake contract document, the American Innovation? Which evidence is bigger than that? No, even if 2 excavators get missing you and I can conclude that, look, we haven't seen it. 500 got missing in this country. The chairman of the interministerial committee said they sold them like granules in this country. Has Mr. Akufo-Addo put any interest in it? No. Akufo-Addo's backyard was even being mined, and people entered, it broke his wall, and they were dredging and mining gold in his backyard. Have you seen any investigation in that?
They said that,
so, look,
that wasn't true,
Bella,
by the way.
All I will say is that, look, they can continue tickling themselves, laughing, think that they will be in power, and so nobody will have the effrontery to investigate them. But I sit on this platform to say that the last man to steal money under this government will be the last man to return the monies. We will not sit down and allow people struggle. We don't have schools, we don't have water, we don't have hospitals, we don't have roads, and yet on a daily basis, you people sit there, you siphon funds, Mr. Akufo-Addo, Bawumia and his entourage.
Malik, thank you.
The state, and you think we'll leave you off the hook. I swear by everything that President Mahama...
You've sworn about 4 times already on this platform.
Because it's hurting me.
So
I'm hurt
if Ghanaians should vote, if Ghanaians should vote for the NDC and they come into power and they don't prosecute any of these, you know, scandals...
I will resign from politics.
Or investigate these allegations. You resign from...
If we come into power and we don't investigate and arrest the corrupt officials, I sit here on TV3, I'm Malik Basintale, I'll resign from politics. I'll give up on party politics.
It's the 11th of June. We'll keep this,
you can't steal money from this country this way and expect to go on.
Okay, no problem. Ghanaians will hold you accountable to that. But George, I mean, you're asking for evidence. Yes. Of course, the president is also saying that they have...
You see, when we speak about the fight against corruption, you first demonstrate it by prosecuting your own people. That is how people have confidence in your acts and your actions as a government. When President Mahama was in power, and sometimes I feel sad for Victoria Hammer, a woman, a minister who sat somewhere and said, if I get $1 million, I'll resign from politics. If I get mere thought, mere perception, as to whether she will ever get, nobody can tell. What did President Mahama do to her? She was fired. So if a president even has allegations over him and people accuse him of doing something, what are you supposed to do as a president or a vice president? You subject yourself to investigation. I tell you today that if Alhaji Bawumia subjects himself to 1 minute of investigation, you will see the sort of things that will be unraveled. Why? Somebody's 10,000 bags of salad rice got missing at the port. It was traced and linked to Bawumia's office. Bawumia said he knew nothing about it. It was Kekose. When they traced the rice, they found the rices in houses of malams and imams, which meant that it was shared as salad rice. What is the business of Kekose to salad rice? In the whole of Bawumia's office, aside Akbar, it is only Bawumia who shares salad rice. Yet Bawumia says he wasn't the one. The matter was left. And everybody could trace that it was Bawumia who had an interest in that lily rice that got missing. Nobody did anything about it. Lots of other cases under this government and linked directly to the president and vice president. Nobody has done anything. Why? We speak about family and friends. And I want to come into this Rock City matter. Look, when we say public officials shouldn't engage in buying properties that have even been bidded, put across for sale, we are stopping what we call conflict of interest. Me, I can get up as a minister, put my facilities for sale. My colleague minister will buy. He will also put his facilities for sale. I'll also go and buy. And then we say, okay, they put it out for public bidding. And that was how come I bid it. There is a clause of conflict of interest. And that is what leads to family and friends. Bawumia's sister, let me cite an example. Laraba, she was the CEO for the Northern Development Authority in Tamale. 400 Abobo years got missing under her tenure. Just because she was Bawumia's sister, Mr. Akufo-Addo clapped for her and said, you are learning fast. Rather promoted her and made her the Minister for Gender in Accra. And those 400 Abobo years haven't been accounted for, which means that all those things have gone down the drain. That is the cause of family and friends. In this Rock City saga, your own hotel, Rock City, for 3 consecutive years have run at a loss. 2021, 2022, 2023, losses. The hotels you are coming to buy have been making profits for more than 5 years in a row. 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, they have made profits. Yet you, the one who is running at a loss, now says that I'm coming to buy the hotels that are running at profit, okay, and turn them to mine. And you, the one doing that, is a minister buying the hotels from a colleague minister. If this is not broad daylight, thief-free, and I'm happy that the TUC had to stand for the interest of this country. And together with our minority ranking on foreign affairs, Samuel Okujato, they fought and all those things have been turned out. But you see, George will not have a problem with family and friends. I say this because, for example, his wife was a minister. He too was an appointee at NADMO.
Did she not deserve that position, though?
So I'm coming to link family and friends as to what it does to the country.
Okay.
When sharing the national cake, his bedroom had two. His wife was a minister. He too was an appointee. So they had deprived many other qualified people in other households who deserved to have gotten their share of the family of the cake. And in an event that anything goes wrong in all these ministries, they seek to protect themselves. And that is what the vice president and his sister Laraba had done. And that is why he sees nothing wrong with what happened in the Rock City saga. But you see, we will pursue that matter. We will not allow it go down the drains, like I have said. We will continue to unravel and expose all these corrupt and fraudulent things in this matter. And the chop. And this, you see, you think that I am bluffing today, and you think so. You blabbing. You think so because today I am not in power. The best I can do is to initiate what President Akufo-Addo will kill. Because anything that's got to do with corruption, he won't allow it because he himself has a history of corruption. His vice president has a history of corruption. Okay. But you see, the day of reckoning will come. Yes. When that day comes, you, your other colleagues, the president, the vice president, will account to the people of this country.
Interesting. Okay.
That all that goes down the drains. And so